If the wind was in our sails, we'd be all right. If the wind was in our sails, we'd be all right. If the wind was in our sails, and we'll all hang on behind. And we'll roll the old chariot along. We'll roll the old chariot along. We'll roll the old chariot along. And we'll all hang on behind. Oh, we'd be all right if we make it around the horn. Oh, we'd be all right if we make it around the horn. Oh, we'd be all right if we make it around the horn. And we'll all hang on behind. And we'll roll the old chariot along. We'll roll the old chariot along. We'll roll the old chariot along. And we'll all hang on behind. Well, a nice watch below wouldn't do us any harm. Well, a nice watch below wouldn't do us any harm. Well, a nice watch below wouldn't do us any harm. And we'll all hang on behind. And we'll roll the old chariot along. We'll roll the old chariot along. We'll roll the old chariot along. And we'll all hang on behind. Well, a drop of Nelson's blood wouldn't do us any harm. Well, a drop of Nelson's blood wouldn't do us any harm. Well, a drop of Nelson's blood wouldn't do us any harm. And we'll all hang on behind. And we'll roll the old chariot along. We'll roll the old chariot along. We'll roll the old chariot along. And we'll all hang on behind. Well, a night on the town wouldn't do us any harm. Well, a night on the town wouldn't do us any harm. Well, a night on the town wouldn't do us any harm. And we'll all hang on behind. And we'll roll the old chariot along. We'll roll the old chariot along. We'll roll the old chariot along. And we'll all hang on behind. And we'll roll the old chariot along. We'll roll the old chariot along. We'll roll the old chariot along. We'll and we'll all hang on behind.
This daily dose is brought to you by Pirate.Black. Ah!
I have a very crystal clear understanding of what I would think is best, and that is that we're all racing towards sound money, and that in order to be sound money in this age of modern finance, you need to be able to have one unit of account always be interchangeable for another unit of account within that medium of exchange. So that's a very clear-cut understanding of the importance of privacy at the protocol level. My question to you is, do you foresee a strong investment demand towards privacy coins?
Absolutely. I think we're seeing it already. I think just in 2022, just watching Monero trade and buck a lot of downtrends. I think we're seeing that those fund flows already occur. I mean, as a percentage of Bitcoin's value, it's done actually pretty well. Still a fair ways to go, but I think that all of the fundamentals are there for a greater appreciation for Monero and not just Monero, it's the broader privacy coin universe that's really so interesting. And I think like in a bear market, Monero is going to be the focus of attention, and that's what we're seeing. It's the leader in the space. It has been for a long time, and I think that when people look for sort of the safer places to play in a bear market, that's what they're going to focus on, and that's what we're seeing. But all the pieces are in place. It comes down to awareness being raised and people kind of getting it that privacy is important, and at the same time, not just the importance of privacy, but frankly, something that we take really for granted, which is that in TCV, we take for granted that we all understand that Bitcoin and Ethereum and all these other projects that have the most publicity, we understand that they're not private at all, that they're surveillance coins. And the process whereby people come around to that, it's been a slow process. People don't necessarily understand that straight away. They see the complexity of it and assume that, wow, I have this wallet address and it seems really complicated and no one could ever guess my wallet address. How could they ever possibly know that it was me? How could I ever possibly get, called out for, monitored transactions that don't make, some regulatory authority happy? How could I ever be tracked in that way? And, we see it every day. We're aware of it. That takes time for people to actually come around to. And I think that in some ways, the whole COVID scenario, the truckers issues in Canada, when funds were frozen and Bitcoin was frozen, and even with Russia, calls for sort of regulating that and freezing normal citizens' accounts in Bitcoin. I think that's made a lot of people do a double take and go, wait a minute, this was supposed to be freedom money and it's not. So what is it game over, or is there a missing piece to privacy and to liberty associated with crypto that we haven't yet seen? So I think the stage is radically set for what I think is going to be a pretty astonishing move. And I think the stakes are really high. This is not just about making building your own fortune. Not just about just trying to stack as much as you can and get really rich and forget about everything else. This is really important for society. This is an integral part of having a free world. Privacy is even more valuable. Privacy today is more powerful and valuable than it was 4 years ago. Or 5 years ago. This is the age of COVID and government surveillance and all the stuff that we know about, that we know that's happening. So the value to this private crypto, I think it's just, we're in the really early innings of this. The estimates that we've got, and then I've published before in previous articles from a fundamental basis of valuing Monero, valuing Pirate Chain, Monero, Dero. Look, the market's down. Those are arguably bull market value. Well, those are bull market valuations, I'll say. But the reality is they're not that bull market valuations. Like, the real bull market valuations are a lot higher than that. There's a real prospect that Monero and privacy coins could explode in ways and challenge Bitcoin for dominance in ways that we're not even really considering, because it's not on the immediate horizon. But I think that's a real prospect. So I think that's just important to keep in mind longer term. We're not in this for a 3 month, 6 month gain. We're talking about massive types of returns and massive shifts in public consciousness as to what the importance of privacy is. And it's amazing to me in my everyday life how people that I meet day to day who don't know anything about crypto or know very little about crypto and maybe have bought some Bitcoin, and I'll sort of casually ask them questions, and they know that I'm a little bit informed, let's say, and they'll ask me questions and they'll say, oh, well, what do you like? And I'll tell them, I like the privacy coins because, Bitcoin's not private, and their eyes kind of go wide. They still don't even get that. And it's amazing to me how few people still understand that. And that to me is an enormous opportunity. It's like we haven't even tapped into that yet. So I think that the wind is in our sails now. It's happening. And once you see that, once you get that, you can't go back. You don't move in the other direction. It's done. You've seen the truth. You've seen how this stuff works. So, I think it's early innings still, and I'm still, massively bullish on the space. I think, Mr. X has stated, I don't even think he owns any Bitcoin. I think he said he's predominantly focused on two of the privacy coins that we discussed. And I think that's a very reasonable place to be.
Follow the treasure to pirate.black, because financial privacy today is freedom tomorrow. Ah!